Hey, my name is Titania Page, and I'm the founder of lifebeforeeternity.com. And you can also find my Bible teachings on Proverbs 31 Ministries First 5 app. In today's video, we're talking about Bible translations. Which is the best for you? Stick around to find out. All right, if you're new here on the Life Before Eternity channel, I create videos to help modern women embrace a lifestyle of faith here on earth before we enter into eternity with Christ. So if you're new, please consider subscribing. All right, let's dive into today's subject, Bible translations. So I know from personal experience that Bible translations can be overwhelming, especially if you're going to choose your first Bible or you just want to dive in, but you don't know where to start, which is the best, which is not. Oh, don't freak out. Don't freak out. Bible translations are actually your friend, and I'm here to help you discover that, okay? So why do we have Bible translations? Well, contrary to what you might have heard on the streets, Bible translations are not copies of the Bible. Our Bible translations are direct translations from the original Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek texts that make up the Bible. And so we have different Bible versions because different people prefer different types of translations. So there's a word-for-word translation and there's a thought-for-thought translation. So word-for-word, as its name implies, just means that this is a more literal translation. The goal is to most closely match each word for word from those original texts with its English equivalent, which is sometimes a little bit hard because those languages are a little bit more robust than English. They have more words. For example, for the word love, there's like 5 different words to describe the different types of love. So the word for word really takes into account the original words used. Now, the thought for thought is also a great translation because it happens to capture the thoughts behind the spirit of the original text. So it gives you it gives you just the spirit of what's being said. And so that's helpful too if the literal translation is a little bit harder for you to grasp. So let me give you an example of a Bible verse read in a more word-for-word translation. So I'm going to be reading Matthew 6:33 in both a word-for-word and a thought-for-thought translation. And then we'll talk briefly about paraphrases. So Matthew 6:33 in a word-for-word, a more literal translation, we're going to be using the New American Standard Bible. It says, "But seek first his righteousness." Sorry. But seek first his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. And so that's a literal translation. Now, if you're not used to the Bible, then words like his kingdom and his righteousness and these things will be added to you, that kind of sounds a little jargony. You might not feel really comfortable with it. Now, but if you're used to the Bible, you grew up in church, maybe that's easier for you to understand. Now, a more thought-for-thought translation would be the New Living Translation. I love this translation, and it reads, "Seek the kingdom of God above all else and live righteously, and he will give you everything you need." Now, of course, you gotta go read the verse in the original context, but I think this New Living Translation says it in a way that even if you don't have a church background, it sounds a little bit more digestible. It's a little bit more understandable. It's in our contemporary language. Now, let me briefly talk about paraphrases because paraphrases are often confused for Bible translations, but they are not. So a paraphrase is a Bible that takes the text and basically, as its name implies, paraphrases or summarizes the thought behind the text. Now, paraphrases are great to get new insight or new perspectives on what the meaning of a Bible verse are, but be cautious when using them. Don't use them alone. And don't use them as the primary text for your study, especially if you're teaching someone else. I would definitely use the paraphrase alongside of a primary text. Now, a lot of the Bible translations that we discussed, they either fall on one side or the other, or fall in between the word for word or the thought for thought translation. Now, so I hope those three explanations help you get a better understanding of which kind of Bible is good for you. I'll briefly read really quick some of the Messages, Matthew 6:33. Now, be aware that with the Message and Paraphrases, you can't just dip in there and read one verse, because they're clustered together because they paraphrased it. You get what I'm saying? All right, so Matthew 6:33 in the Message reads, it's looped together with verses 30 through 33. It reads, "If God gives such attention to the appearance of wildflowers, most of which are never seen, don't you think he'll attend to you, take pride in you, do his best for you? What I'm trying to do here is get you to relax, to not be so preoccupied with getting so that you can respond to God's giving. People who don't know God and the way he works fuss over these things, but you know both God and how he works. Steep your life in God reality, God initiative, God provisions. Don't worry about missing out. You'll find all your everyday human concerns will be met." So that's great too. I mean, when I'm reading that, I'm like, wow, I can kind of see more practically how this can work. Me living this verse out in my life can look. So Bible translations are your friends. Let me know which type of translation you think works best for you. If you have any more questions about Bible translations, let me know. I'm going to answer every single comment. If you like this video, if it gave you some value, go ahead and hit the like button. Please consider subscribing. And until next time, keep the faith, sis. Thanks for joining me. As soon as I find out how to stop this.